Lead and Empower Her with Dr. Julie Ducharme, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Lead and Empower Her with Dr. Julie Ducharme is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Dr. Julie Ducharme.
Hi, I'm Dr. Julie Ducharme, and welcome to She CEO Talks. I love this podcast because I get to talk to women around the world doing unique, amazing jobs, heading up companies. And every time I talk, I not only get to meet someone and get to know someone, but they become fast friends. And so I'm really excited today to have Ania here. She is the head alchemist here at Xpansionalchemy. She is a world traveler who has helped thousands of heart-centered entrepreneurs align with their ideal clients to attract wealth, health, love, mental health, and spiritual wealth. Ania started out working a corporate job. She started working a corporate job that left her living paycheck to paycheck. Exhausted and worn out, she was limited to her dreams of a better life. Ania longed for the freedom to live life on her terms and time to enjoy life to the fullest, which we're definitely going to talk about that. One day, she decided to take a leap of faith, quit her job, and began a journey of self-discovery. The journey has taken Ania all over the world and helped her create business, learning new skills and sharing them along the way. She's also a millennia, I gotta say that right, millennia manifester, spiritual life, business mentor, intuitive digital artist. She's also intuitive healer, Reiki master, angel healer, EFT certified coach. Oh my gosh, Ania, how am I going to say this? Ho'oponopono. I probably said that wrong. You're going to have to correct me. Master. The list goes on and on, but I do want to also mention she's an Entrepreneur Magazine listed as a top millennial powerhouse, and U.S. reported her as one of the top entrepreneurs to follow, and she's spoken on national stages like Napoleon Hill Foundation and Women Gone Wild Summit. Oh my gosh, such a long list. Ania, welcome to the show. And how do I say that? I did not say it. Oh my gosh, I butchered that. I should have, I just saw it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I butchered that.
It's a mouthful, that's for sure. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Julie. It's a
pleasure.
I'm
so glad you're on here. We've met through Women Gone Wild, which you guys all need to check out the book, Women Gone Wild. And this was the wealth version, right?
Correct.
So the wealth version is out. And of course, we're partnering with Women Gone Wild for our event on June 17th, the Women Gone Wild She Talks event that's happening. So definitely make sure, if you guys have not checked that out, we're going to have that scrolling across the screen. And we'll, of course, put the links in as well if you're driving and you're like, I cannot look at the screen right now. Check that out, because we're bringing together a powerhouse of women from Women Gone Wild and from She Talks. We're fundraising money for women veterans, and it's just going to be an epic event. I'm so excited. And Ania, even if you're not there, I know we're going to meet at some point. So because it's going to happen, we've merged our people now, and I've told everyone, like, you guys are all just going to be in my big family now. So, but let's talk about
growing. I love it.
Exactly. Well, and so in your bio, it talks about that you were working a corporate job and you were just paycheck to ground. Well, I can totally relate to that. Been there, done that. So this very much resonates with me. One of the biggest things I hear from women when they're in a toxic situation in business is I ask them, why don't you leave? And I was in the same situation. I'm totally guilty of this. I was in a horrible toxic situation. I was sick. My hair was falling out. I was stressed. And why in the world was I staying in it? Well, I was absolutely terrified to leave the one thing that I thought I knew how to do really well. And so it was quite a journey for me to do that. And I assume it was for you. So I'd love to hear about, how did that journey happen?
Very similar. Oh my goodness. So I started my corporate career very early, like 16 years old. I was working in corporate America. Wow. Very, very early. And that happened because my dad was in a work accident. And so I had to take on the responsibilities of being an adult. Like, one of our incomes got taken away from us. We were immigrants in the United States. I was translating legal documents, going to doctor's offices. So I would have to grow up very quickly. I was an adult at that point. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, I took one graphic design class in high school, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is amazing. This is my passion. I love it. I'm good at it. Walked into my my counselor's office, and I'm like, all right, what can I do to like graduate as soon as possible. So I graduated high school early, went to college right away, graduated college early. Life just so happens to manifest the way that it manifests. And during, while I was in high school, I ended up getting a internship working at a corporate company. So that's why I started very, very early. When I graduated high school, they hired me on very early. And then once I graduated college, I worked at Fortune 500 companies. So I got a head start really quickly. But just the traumas with just life in general, the stress with what happened with my father, taking on like all of these responsibilities very early on, the traumas of living in Chicago, that's where I'm from, and it's a busy city, that hustle mentality, go, 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 like not being connected to myself, not being on a spiritual path. Similar to you, I was very sick. Anxiety, depression, insomnia. My hair was falling out as well. I couldn't eat anything. I had celiac disease. I had crazy IBS. I was going to the bathroom once a month only. I was going blind. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. It was just like one thing on top of another, on top of another. I was very, very sick. And I'm like, I need to leave. Like, this is very, very toxic. Like, if I don't leave now, like, I'll probably stay here forever and be sick forever. And that's just not what I want. Western medicine wasn't working for me at this point. I went to specialist on specialist on specialist, and it just wasn't working for me anymore. And I came to a point in my career where I was butting heads with my manager. My old manager left, and the new manager that we were just butting heads. And I couldn't stay in that environment either. That was very toxic as well. So I could have done either something crazy or look for a new job. I'm a person that does things crazy. So I'm like, screw it. I don't have kids. I'm not married. If I don't do it now, then when am I going to do it? So within 2 weeks, I went into my manager's office, quit my job, sold my apartment, sold my car, put everything in storage, bought a one-way ticket to Thailand, and never looked back. It's been 8 years now, and I have never looked back. But that journey is what brought me onto the entrepreneurial path, because for the first time in my life, I didn't have a paycheck. Like, I was like, what am I going to do? Thankfully, I had graphic design to fall back on, and it was very easy for me to just transition into the online world versus someone that's completely new and they're like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Yeah. But that started my entrepreneurial path. I had many different entrepreneurial journeys at this point, and it's just finding my path, finding my way. And it's like, all right, I needed to take that leap of faith on this path. I ended up healing myself. I got certified in like all those credentials that you were reading off earlier. I got certified in many different things. And I'm like, if I can heal myself, and I was very sick for an entire decade, I can help other people heal as well, naturally. You don't have to go to Western medicine, and you can do these things naturally. Honestly, meditation fixed 80% of my problems, just getting on a regular meditation routine. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I've heard that. And I've definitely, when I was younger, my mom was all about like organic, right? Like the herbs are so good for you and all these things. And I used to honestly be like, you were so crazy, mom. And then as I got older and I started having these weird anomalies myself, which I definitely think was connected to stress for sure. I realized the same thing, right? So the Western fix a lot of times is, let me just give you some medicine. You're depressed, you're anxious.
Put a Band-Aid over it.
Yeah, put a Band-Aid over it. And I found that wasn't the answer, and I had to learn how to manage my stress. But most important, I had to take myself out of the toxic situation I was in, because as women, I feel like we're very loyal and we're problem solvers. And so our thought is, we can fix this. I'll stick it out, right? Where guys don't do that. Guys are like, I'm out. Like, I'm not doing it, right? And that's very much me. I'd worked like you from a young age. I got into a big position at an early age. I felt like, this is it. I've made it, right? I beat everyone out. I'm so young. Like, this is success, right? And I had a really, strange idea what success was, because that's what the world was saying. And I had to really, like you, I ended up having to quit my job. I always tell people I practically had a mental breakdown, because the stress and the hostile environment I was working in, it wasn't that I couldn't handle it. It was that I didn't want to handle it anymore. And that was definitely a journey as well. But I'm big on that stuff because I am about like meditation. I live by the water. So I love to go out, paddleboard, kayak, just have that quiet time, and I've really worked hard to change my routine to something that's very healthy, which is, I think, so important. And I love to hear that because it's terrifying to leave something that's comfortable, right? I mean, it's not fun, but it's comfortable. We know it, right? And I think too, as women, we're not one trick ponies. Every woman I meet, I'm always like, okay, you've got more skills than just that one skill you're doing at work. Like I have this whole sheet I love to give women who are transferring jobs. And it asks them things like, okay, so you have kids and you deal with like problems and conflicts with them all the time, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so you can do conflict resolution. And we make these jokes. We even say like, okay, you change diapers. Okay, you can deal with biohazards, right? And so I like that you just said, listen, okay, I'm just going to drop this. I'm going to go and never look back, because I think women need to hear that. Women who are stuck in these positions where they're like, I just got to keep going. I know this is hostile and my hair's falling out and I'm heart attack risk now, but I'm just going to keep going. So I think that's so powerful. So you made this transition. I think you said it was 8 years, right? 8 years.
Yes,
Since you've
8
done
years
it?
now.
So let's talk about where you're at right now and what you're doing from that transition.
Yeah, so my company is called Xpansionalchemy, and it's a divine alchemy school in the realms of spirituality, personal development, health, relationships, and business. And we have 15 teachers on staff, all giving one live class a month. The idea behind Xpansionalchemy came from a little bit of trials and tribulations as well, and I'm happy to share that story in a bit. But the idea behind it was similar to Mind Valley. Mind Valley was a big inspiration for me when creating Xpansionalchemy. However, I was a part of Mind Valley for a while, and the thing that I didn't like about Mind Valley is like, you take all of these courses, they're great, but afterwards you're like, what do I do now? I have all of these questions afterwards. And then they try to sell you an upsell. So this, you get access to all of the teachers live. You have behind the scene access to them, like inside our community. You can ask them questions for just one monthly subscription a month, or a yearly price. And then you get 15 classes. Show up to as many or as little classes as you want. My intention to it, and that's what we're working on currently, is to bring it into corporations as a mental wellness and personal development tool for employees, actually. Because I have a corporate background and I had that mental breakdown, if I had the tools that I have today, I would still probably be in corporate America. Thankfully, that is not my path anymore, but I am so passionate about helping corporations and helping employees to help someone else, women and men together, so they don't go through those breakdowns anymore. And they don't have to have hair falling out and not knowing how to eat, like throwing up after every meal and having anxiety, going blind. I never want anyone to go blind. It was horrible.
I mean,
I'm
that's
passionate about bringing it into the corporate world as a mental wellness benefit for employees.
Yeah, I agree. And I talk with people every day dealing with these things. And I get that, leaving your job and the fear of, not having money and those things, it's a definite fear, right? When I was leaving my job, I literally just had my second kid. They were maybe like 2 months old. So I had a toddler and 2-month old. And I was like, I have kids, I have bills. Like, how do I transition out of this and still pay my bills? And that's always a huge factor, especially in the world we live today, is much more expensive. So I think that's important because obviously there is the corporate sector and there are people who are meant to work in the corporate sector. And, just now, really, I feel over the last maybe 5 years, we've started to address mental health and how important it is. I mean, here in the US, very different from other countries, it's work 24/7. Everything's open 24/7. Food's open 24/7. We don't even take breaks on Sundays anymore, which was normally a normal thing. Everyone shut down and spent time with family. And so the US mentality is so different than when I visit other countries and everyone's like, okay, we're taking a siesta. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're taking a nap? Like everyone's taking a nap? Like, wait, I'm confused. Like, wait, I can't go get something at 10 o'clock at night because I'm so used to like the American mentality. And so I think it's critical that we look at, I think what corporate misses is if they have happy people, they're going to have better production. I mean, we all know it.
And that was the whole point behind Expansion Alchemy. And yes, things are changing and things are shifting, especially after COVID, especially after so many people are working from home. More companies are open to that, but it's still not where it needs to be. And I want to be in the forefront of that. Like your employees will need that. I was just reading an article the other day that said 73% of millennials and Gen Zers, they will not take a job if there is no mental wellness benefits for them. They will not.
Yeah. And it's I mean, it's such a win-win for everyone, I mean, and I feel like corporations are now starting to get behind this, but it really does need to be kind of a new breaking area for these groups. And I think that's great. Well, you had mentioned earlier that you did have some barriers or trials or tribulations you went through, as every entrepreneur does. And for our women who are thinking, hey, I'm trying to get the courage to leave my job, I want to start my own business. Let's also be transparent about some of the things that maybe slowed you down and also how you got around them.
Yeah, so this is the story I wanted to share earlier about Expansion Alchemy and how Expansion Alchemy actually came about. So at the beginning of last year, I had a very successful spiritual business coaching business, helping entrepreneurs create their businesses and energetically align into their clients so they can start manifesting the life that they want. Start manifesting more clients, start manifesting more healing, start manifesting anything into their lives. So focusing on the energetics of your business. And it was amazing beginning of last year. And then the fast forward middle of the year, I was on book tour actually. And I ended up closing out all of my coaching contracts because I was on book tour. It was an entire month. I was in different time zones. I was traveling a lot. I didn't want to be stuck on Zoom calls. Like, I don't know what time zone I'm going to be. I'm going to be networking, meeting all of these people. So let's just cancel all of them for now. Book tour was fantastic. Came back from book tour and I got hacked. I lost my entire business. I lost my website. I lost 300 pieces of video content I've ever created. I've lost 30,000 email subscribers that I've had in my entire life. I was like, what the actual heck? What is going on?
Yeah.
So I spent the next 2 months trying to get everything back. And then the next 2 months having a complete mental breakdown again. Like, am I supposed to be coaching? Is this my path? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, God divine, please give me signs. Please give me the right people to come into my life to help me and support me. Like, I completely surrender because again, I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was living in Portugal for a month at the time. I was traveling. I was away from home. I didn't have anyone. Like, it was hard. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? So I sat in a 4-hour meditation. And during this meditation, all of Expansion Alchemy was given to me. The name, the colors, the branding, the logo, the partners that I want on it, the payment structures, everything. So much resiliency came from that. Just keep pushing forward. And I see signs every single day, the divine telling me, like, you are on the path. This is what you're meant to be doing. This is what you're supposed to be doing. You are on the right path. Keep going. Yes, things are going to be hard sometimes. Of course they are. Starting a business is difficult, like trying to figure out an entire business on your own. But the whole message behind Expansion Alchemy was collaboration, not competition. We don't have to run businesses alone anymore. We don't have to do anything anymore. This is why I have 15 teachers on, so we can all collaborate, because my message might resonate with some people. It might not resonate with everyone. It shouldn't resonate with everyone, and that is okay. This is why I want to build a network and build a community of different teachers teaching different things. Show up to as many or as little classes as you like with the teachers that you resonate with. Some you might not resonate with. You don't have to show up to all 15 classes. Collaboration, not competition. We are going into the age of the feminine, the rise of the female, which is all about community. Why not create a community where we can all grow, learn together, and help elevate this planet together? We don't have to do things on our own anymore.
Yeah. And that's what She Talks is all about. So that's why it's such a perfect merger. And it's true. I think as women, oftentimes, we think we have to do it on our own. I think this is a cultural thing, right? Like you're not strong enough unless you go out and you do it on your own. And I realized that the hard way as well, that, some of the best ways that I could grow is to bring in women to support me and myself also support them. And I think that's so critical, because in that moment where you lost your business, that's devastating. When COVID hit, several of my businesses shut down. that I'd had for a long time. And I too felt like I was having a breakdown because I was like, this is everything I've ever built and it's all gone, you know? And that was really impactful because these businesses are personal to us. You know, we put our heart and soul in them. And I always tell people when the people are like, oh, I'm sorry, it's not personal, it's just business. I'm like, no, 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 it is personal because that's what makes our business so good is that we actually care about it. The moment we stop caring about what we're doing, we should go do something else, you know? And so I think that's so important because women face all different bumps in the road, but look how you came back from that, right? Like it was a rough couple months, but then you came back bigger and better and even more powerful. And sometimes those rough moments are the best moments of our life, not to us, but in how it makes us grow, right? Because it's like you're like, okay, I got this. Like I'm figuring this out. And so I love that you share that because that could happen to anyone. I mean, COVID
Exactly. It can
destroyed.
happen to anyone. But like stay connected to yourself. We talked about meditation. There's tons of different spiritual tools. As long as your mind, body, heart, soul, spirit connection, as long as you're serving, it always comes down to how am I helping people? How am I serving people? God first, and then how am I serving people? As long as you're in service, everything will line up for you. Yeah, those times, those tribulations will suck. Like it was not easy. But anyone can go through anyone can get out of it as well. Not only like you don't have to sit in bed and like cry all day. Yeah, take a couple of days and mourn your business, mourn that loss, mourn whatever, but get up stronger because you know you have the tools inside of you and you have the support system as well around you to help get you to that next step. Then once you do that, like the universe literally just like opens up for you and so much beauty comes out of it. But you have to have that vision. You have to have that inner desire inside of you. Yes, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm meant to do. And then everything else will just fall into place. Being in that feminine flow versus it being in that masculine, like I need to go, I need to hustle, I need to do this. And then you're overworking yourself and overwhelming yourself. It's like, no, allow the feminine flow to come through you and flow through you.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's so important. Well, as we're nearing the end of the podcast, I wanted to ask you the question that I always ask everyone is if you could go back to your younger self, and of course you definitely could go back to your younger self because you were doing this young and give yourself advice, what would it be?
It would definitely be if you can do, be, and have absolutely anything that you desire. There is, if you can think it, you can have it. Don't let anyone stop you. Don't let the naysayers tell you, oh no, you can't book a flight all the way to Thailand and go live in Thailand for X amount of years and then travel the world. Like that's crazy talk. No, don't let those naysayers bring you down. Allow yourself to be in yourself. Trust that inner guidance, trust that inner intuition. If you just have an inkling, like this is something that's coming up for me, there's a reason that it's coming up for you. Dive into that, explore that deeper, study that more. There's a reason why it's coming up for you. The universe wants you to study this. Maybe it's your next business idea. You never know what's going to come out. Just trust that inner guidance and you can do, be, and have absolutely anything that you want.
Yeah, and you're proof of that. So I think that's great advice. Well, before we go, or is there anything going on that you want our listeners to go check out and look for that you have coming up?
Definitely check out. We are relaunching our Women Gone Wild, the Wealth Edition. The book launch is in LA, January. What a goodness, June 17th. And then also my book, Rebel's Guide to Spirituality, and then check out Xpansionalchemy as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, if you guys are driving right now, listening on your radio or your phone, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't catch all those links. Don't worry. We're going to throw them in there and you can go back and find those links. But thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your heart and your soul, the ups and downs. I know it makes such a difference. We have a really big women's audience. And final thing, one tip that you could give any woman thinking of making a leap like you did.
Just do it. Again, don't let anything stop you. Again, if you have those inklings, there's a reason why you have those inklings. If you trust and go after what you truly desire, the universe will just flow into your life and everything will start lining up. It will all make sense. Just trust that inner guidance and just do it. Like Nike says, just do it.
All right. That's amazing. So yes, just do it, ladies. And as I always say, live, love, laugh, and always be your authentic self.
Thanks for listening to Lead and Empower Her with your host, Dr. Julie Ducharme. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.